Have you ever got kicked off the game by your older mom because she said you were being way too productive outside, so now she tells you to go walk the fish in broad nighttime so it can breathe properly with air? Okay, now that I finally got your attention, on to the topic of today's video, which is nostalgia. I hope I had a good delivery on that. Anyways, nostalgia. I remember all those times where I was a young man. At precisely 3 p.m., I would get off of school and come home immediately. My first initial thought was to hop straight on the game, no hesitation. Such simple times, man. I miss them dearly, truly. Now, when you're a kid, you have a lot of free time, even despite having school and other things to do. You don't really know the full sense of responsibility, therefore you kind of just frolic around, doing your own thing, feeling like you're not really bound by any of the Earth's limitations. At least that's how I felt. These free times gave me the liberty of experiencing some of my favorite games and media, which I still cherish to this day. I'll never forget the people I've met on all the different games I played as a kid and how many sleepless nights I'd have playing the Halo series or even Gears of War series alongside my brother. The amount of times I'd invite friends over to my house just so we can play COD Zombies and scream at the top of our lungs just to find out our parents burst in the room telling us to shut the Okay, I didn't actually curse. I just like bleeping stuff in. Like, for example, gaming really feels like a... Alright, you see what I mean? Gaming as a kid made everything feel so fresh, exhilarating, and meaningful. Gaming as a kid is so much more different when you look at it from a different perspective, and that's mainly what this video is about. I want to talk about how the overall experience of gaming when we were younger and how it's vastly different from now. Gaming nowadays isn't exactly dead or not fun. I'll never say that. There's so many amazing games coming out and amazing titles that I have yet to try that we've been getting the past few years, and it seems like the excitement just never seems to end for new releases. When Steam has sales, I immediately jump at the opportunity to buy some games that I always wanted to try, or even games that I could never buy when I was younger and things of that nature. Now, if you were growing up like me, you had to wait, and I mean you had to wait for certain times of the year to pick up certain games. If I had asked my mom for a game and she said no, she meant that. With all honesty, it meant no, so it meant to never ask again until the time comes. I didn't really have the luxury of getting any game that I wanted at any given moment due to certain financial situations, but when it came down to the wire, like a birthday or a holiday, best believe my parents were letting me get any game that I wanted. Alright, alright. Now that was before. Now let's talk about now. Now as an adult, I don't really have to deal with this issue anymore, surprisingly. I can literally buy any game that I want, whether it be a standard edition, collector's edition, you name it. It's no issue for me. You see, here's the difference between gaming as an adult versus gaming as a kid, at least in my experience. As a kid, you got all the time to play the game, but you just don't have the money. But as an adult, you got the money, well, hopefully. Well, you got the money, but just not the time, which sucks. Growing up seriously feels like a scam on everything it is. There's so many titles I want to experience, but there's just so many things in the way that are making me not want to experience them. Like, I remember saying stuff like, oh, I can't wait to grow up and have my own money. Then when I spend the money on games, I don't even get the time to play them. Like, bruh, at this point, I'm just building up a never-ending backlog that will never be completed. I know I'm not the only one with this problem, too. Responsibility seems to be one of the main factors as to why playing the game as an adult can feel, well, so daunting. The idea of, yeah, this is my hobby and I always love doing it, but there's just this lingering feeling I get. Is all the money and time I pour into these games worth it in the end? I mean, I do have fun and that's what counts, but at the end, all that pleasure is temporary. And even when I am enjoying myself, my responsibilities are just always circling through my mind. One of the reasons I created this YouTube channel is so I could talk about games, make little funny game highlights.
You see one of them, aim for the head. It's your best bet.
You're a liar!
Damn it, out of ammo.
And even express my opinions on other pieces of media without feeling like I'm just mindlessly consuming these things and wasting time. As a kid, I didn't really get this lingering feeling because there really isn't any real sense of responsibility. On top of that, it doesn't really feel like anything is at stake, so of course thoughts like this don't really occur. However, as an adult, having to deal with all the responsibilities that were dealt with, and after all the work is said and done, you just want to kick back, relax, and let off some steam, you're way too tired to even do anything, at least in my experience. I can't be the only one. Somebody, please. Now, on to the next subject, energy. Now, obviously, as a kid, you feel way more energetic in some cases. There were so many times where I stood up multiple days in a row just to beat a game. Nowadays, that's not really the case. Me missing just a few hours of sleep got me limping like a freaking zombie. On top of that, I need as much energy as I can to get through my daily activities like working out, editing, filming, writing scripts, you name it. All these tasks require a lot of energy, so by the time I get to gaming, I'm already done for the day. On top of what I just said, all these different tasks require a lot of time to complete, and each task differs depending how much time I put in that specific day. As a kid, when your sole focus was to just go to school, eat, do homework, and come home to play the game, of course you have all the energy to play all night when that's the only task that you're anticipating all day. As an adult, I might love anticipating the idea of having a bit of free time to watch some anime or even play a few hours of a game, but I get extremely tired whenever I even try to start doing either of these. So as you can see, the excitement is definitely still there, it's just the execution isn't really well followed up on. Now on to my favorite topic, the main topic of this video, which is nostalgia. Now everyone has that one game, show, book, whatever that just really feels like a part of their childhood or whatever point in life that they consumed it. But nostalgia during childhood is not something to be taken for granted. Now when people say nostalgia is one hell of a drug, they mean that it's one hell of a drug. Nostalgia really got us wanting to experience certain points of our life all over again for the very first time, but sadly we can't. It just now remains, well, a memory. Now the game that has really ingrained its way into my very being as a child would be Halo, and I know I'm not the only person that feels this way about this series. Every time I play Halo as an adult, I listen to the OST, whether that be when I'm starting at the menu screen or even just listening to it on my own time. I can't help but to get a little bit emotional and maybe even shed a tear. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Okay, grown man crying over a video game soundtrack. Now, other people might see it as just, oh, well, it's just a video game. But to me, Halo is not just a game. It was an experience. I literally watched as one of the most popular first-person shooter franchises rose in all of its glory. I watched as it changed over the years and how I changed alongside it. I experienced all of its changes, saw all of its flaws, and witnessed all of its good. And I still chose to love it. The craziest part about all of this is that I experienced this with my older brother. The thought of my brother and I sharing an experience and having the exact same level of fascination with the series as a kid just speaks volumes. I remember all the little Machinima series people would make in theater mode on YouTube, all the Red vs. Blue episodes I watched on repeat, all the times my friends and I would group up on Friday nights and play Firefight or even just online together. The amount of time we spent playing the stories over and over and never getting bored, all the achievement hunting, all the custom lobbies, all the forge maps we all created, all still resonate with me whenever I play Halo. Whenever I simply look at the title screen, I can't help but dig up all those distant memories of the past. Despite all of that being so long ago, I still feel as though my childhood obsession will never rival my adult obsessions or even interests in some cases. Sometimes, much like anyone else, I honestly just wish I could go back and do it all over again. I mean, I'm sure many of us would, but the days of old have long passed. Anyways, thanks for listening to my little yap sesh. I'm sure many of us have gone on to quit video games due to other things being a priority, which is completely understandable. When you grow up, the things that you used to love become a distant memory, and other things require your attention, and money. Some of us want to build a family, some of us want to start a business, some of us want to travel, and so on and so forth. Our priorities shift and we part ways with our old self without even realizing it in exchange for our new self. Whatever you choose to do, just know this. A good friend once told me, remember your roots. Maybe even tap in your old hobbies every once in a while. You might pick up a piece of yourself that you once loved but left behind. That's all. Thank you for sincerely watching the video. And until the next one, farewell.